Hi everyone. So let me move on to the slide. This is a presentation, which I will share you the URL, the web page URL later, if you want to use it for further reference. And then just briefly introduce myself. My name is Jennifer. I'm from the HKBU Library. My job title is Information Services Librarian. So maybe you have already seen me or my colleagues when we were doing the library workshops, showing you how to do information searching and also to use databases or do citation and referencing. So this session is particularly working to promote some useful Google tools that you can use to boost your work and also study productivity. And then a brief outline. Let me move on to this slide. Yes, I'm going to cover three things. Some basic facts and figures about Google, the company and also its products, and then move on to particularly highlight some advanced tricks and also techniques when you do Google search using Chrome and also the G Suite. And then lastly, just to open up the floor and then I introduce some interactive and also creative Google projects for your leisure and also entertainment purpose. And then I think especially at this very stressful and then very strange time of the year, we want to be connected even more than what we usually do. So using web services will be certainly very helpful. Now, going to the introduction, so Google at a glance. So I designed a couple of questions, which is built on menti.com, where I will show you how you can respond to the questions shortly. So my first question for you is which one is Google's mission? And then over here, you see there are four options, four dots representing for statement or mission or whatever, one of them is correct. So what I want you to do is you can scan the QR code. Let me try using my mobile phone as well. So I will just scan the QR code on my phone. And then you'll see there are four options, so you can make your selection. If you go to the URL, it will ask you for a session code. I'm going to just copy the session code over 557376. Okay. So the session code is, let me send it to the most easiest way is to just scan the QR code. But if you you can only type in your browser, you can type www.menti.com, and then when it asks you for the session code, please use this 6-digit session code, 55, 73, and 76. Okay, and then let me go back to the menti.com. This is the dashboard that I'm seeing your response. And then currently I see 17 of you responded. Okay, let me go back to this slide and then just give you, sorry, not this one. Okay, here we go. Yeah, so please respond using the QR code or using the URL and respond to this question, which one is Google's mission? Okay, let's wait for maybe 10 more seconds before we see your results together. Okay, let's have a look. So I'm trying to, maybe let's just keep it as it is. So the correct answer actually is the majority of you. The second statement is correct. So let me go back to the presentation. So okay. Yeah, so the mission is to organize the world's information and make it universally accessible and useful. This is their mission. You may feel like the first one and then the third one is really very attractive, very eye-catching. So actually, those are their slogans. Don't be evil is their previous slogan that they have been using for like almost 15 years. And then they changed their slogan to they do the right thing in 2015, I guess. The fourth one actually is the mission for Facebook. As you can see, they're really trying to build a world connected community. And then this is their very well set mission of Facebook. Okay, so very good job, everyone. Now let's move on to the second question. So let me go to the next slide. So take a guess, how old is Google as of today? And then you can respond to the same.
Oh, yeah.
Respond to the same. Respond to the same software, which is Monty.com as well. The session code is still the same. So what you can do is to refresh the browser on your mobile phone, and then the question will be different. Okay? So take a guess, how old is Google as of today, as of this year? I would like to ask a question. Can you see my screen at this moment? Is it the Menti.com slide, or is actually the presentation for the Prezi one? I think yeah, you are still watching the. I think you are still watching the Prezi presentation. That's fine. Actually, still okay. So let me try to do some minor adjustment. It's really because I was working on many different browsers and then the things were overlapping with each other. Okay, let me try again. Let me move this one back to the browser. Okay, here we go. So now you should be able to see what I'm seeing at this moment. So most of you chose the third option, 2022 as of today. This is the correct answer. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Wong Kai, for your feedback. Yeah. So I believe now you can see what I'm seeing as well. So the third one is the correct answer, 22. Actually, that might be even older than many of you joining the session today, but certainly I'm older than that. So it was founded in 1998, I think. That's their birth date. Okay. Now let me go back to the presentation and then carry on with the origin of it. So maybe many of you have heard about these two iconic persons, Larry Page and Sergey Brin. So if these two Stanford students came up with the mechanism, like the algorithm of a way to rank pages based on very different, very different factors and also things they put into the equation, and then they call the algorithm PageRank. So the screen capture on the left is the paper sharing the algorithm, and then the screen capture on the right-hand side is Google's first presentation as a conference paper, where these two founders icons their company Google. And we can, if you are interested, you can go to these two PDFs. Even as of today, I think if you look at look at it, no matter you are from a computer science department or you are like a unknown science major, it's really, I find it's very easy to understand. And then some of the theories and then their rationale still works as of today. So here, maybe some of you know this already. So Google actually is a pun on Google, which is really a gigantic numeric number. And then they particularly called the company Google because they want to really try to build a very large search engine with like a very large scale search results. This is how the company was called Google at the very first beginning. Through the years, through the 20-ish years, they have different variations of their logos. So they also have, as you may notice that they have lots of very interactive widgets, snippets showing you lots of interactive activity. So what you can do is you can search Google logo history, and then you can browse their logo variations throughout the years. And then some key milestones. It was founded 22 years ago. And then several years later, Gmail was launched. And then in the same year, they had their initial public offering. And then that's really where their stock was soaring. And then they started to expanding to many different areas. And then we have Google Map. And then they acquired YouTube. And then Chrome was launched. And then I think the last milestone is the parent company Alphabet was born 5 years ago. So this is a quick sharing of their milestones. Now, just want to briefly mention Google products. So not only they have the search engine and also Chrome, they also trying to provide some hardware as well. For example, like Google Home, the Wi-Fi connector, and also smartphones as well. So those are the things that you can use. Many of them are free, but certainly they are commercial. They are like a for-profit company, so they do generate lots of profits by providing us lots of convenience through work and also through leisure entertainment. Okay, now let's move on. So speaking of Google market share, I actually want to use a database from our library, Statista, to share some figures and market share information with you. So before we do that, we can actually do some polling as well. So here, please take a guess. So what's the raw figure of the market share of desktop search traffic originating from Google in Hong Kong as of last year? So let me activate the next question from my browser. Okay, so the question should be up from your end. Let me see. Yeah, so you should be able to see the question on your screen from your mobile phone. So what is the, take a guess, what's the share of desktop search traffic originating from Google in Hong Kong? Okay. So this means like Google search compared to maybe you're doing a Yahoo search or a Bing search. Okay. All right, so let me try to review the correct answer. So it's 87. Yeah, so the third one is correct. Okay, now let's try to move on to the next question. So the next question is desktop browser market share of Chrome in Hong Kong as of December 2019. So I think some competitors will be IE, Safari, things like this. Okay. Let's count down to 10 seconds before we see the correct answer. Okay, so let's show correct answer. It's also the third one, 75. So most of you got it right. That's good job. We have another one, the last one. This is a fun bonus question, I guess. So of all time, which is the most popular YouTube videos based on total global views? So this is not only for 1 year scale, it's like from its first release, maybe since 2000, the year of 2000. So while you are thinking, what I want to mention is that actually all the figures and also the infographic, you can find it over Statista, which I will just I will demonstrate shortly, like how we can find those information, and then they will also provide you the sources, like how they come up, consolidate all the information into those spreadsheets and also those infographics. Okay, so let's see the correct answer. It's this, the last one, Despacito. So this is the most viewed YouTube videos of all time. And then the cutoff date is last year, end of last year. Okay, good job, everyone. So as mentioned, so I'm just going to skip those questions and then quickly mention about the Statista as a tool for you to discover those figures. So what I'm going to do is to go to the library website. And then what we can do is to search for Statista as a database. And then over here, you will see the link. So because I'm working on my own laptop, so actually, I think, oh, it should be fine because I'm still at the office. So this is the landing page for Statista. And then what we can try is to type Google search in Hong Kong. Maybe we can add desktop search. So here we got 2 very accurate results. And then you can see the share of desktop traffic from Google is like this. And then Hong Kong is like 87% of all the usage. And then not surprisingly, you see China because of the block, there really is very marginal use of Google on PCs or whatever device, right? So this is one figure. Or we can search for YouTube videos. So it's really very easy to, very user-friendly interface for you to find some useful insights towards, especially for business and also IT services. So like, I won't go to details, but you can see those are the figures. And then if you are keen on knowing the source, oh, this one might be, bad choice. So the source link is from Wikipedia, but sometimes they do have those sources from NGOs and also corporate annual reports. So, so this is something that I particularly want to highlight in today's session. Okay. And then actually, if you search Google as just one keyword, it should be able to, you should be able to bring a folder, a particularly on Google and everything around it. So that's a glance overview, and then you can scroll down to see different aspects about their business and also their business models. Okay. Okay, great. Now let's go back to the presentation. So that's a brief introduction, and then now I want to move on to the tools which will be used to increase your productivity. Particularly, I want to highlight G Suite, which as a HKBU user, you should be able to have the entire the access to the entire products. Now Google search. So many of you, I assume that you will use Google search, no matter it's for the basic version or Google Scholar on a daily basis, many times per day, I guess. So what I want to quickly share is how you can use the advanced features. But before we move on to that part, I just want to again remind you of the key factors they consider when they rank the page results. So quality of the content is really mainly still they rely on page rank, but they also care about the meaning of your query, relevance of the web pages, and also the usability of the pages. So like if a web page is really user-friendly or web accessible, they will add more rank to those pages that are better curated, better maintained, rather than those, I guess, plain text web pages, which is probably very hard to navigate to a lower rank. So this is some key factors. If you want to learn more, you can go to this link for in-depth analysis. And then two links showing you advanced search techniques. Sometimes you can also use some syntax or operators to bring or to expand your search queries. So those web pages will show you those syntax that you can use. Over here, I just embedded one video, and then we can look at it together, showing you some very key features of those advanced search techniques. So let's click on the play and have a look.
Using open access sources online can be an effective way to start your research. You will want to use these as a launching ground to propel you into more academic research later. First, let's talk about Google. Google's search engine is built to deliver results based on factors such as the words you type in, concepts related to those words, and even your previous search history. With a few tricks, you can tailor your Google search to return more specific results. Use quotation marks to search for exact phrases. Use an asterisk as a placeholder to search for a word you don't know or can't remember. Use the minus sign to eliminate ideas or words from your search results. You can search a specific website for something you're looking for, or if you find a website you like, you can search for related websites. You can even use keyword searching techniques much like you would in a library database. We'll talk more about how to do this later. While searching on Google, pay attention to the words, conversations, and ideas surrounding your topic. This background information can give you direction when you approach more complex searching in library databases. Another popular place to start learning about a topic is Wikipedia, which can be used for background research in a few different ways. First, you can narrow your topic by searching for subtopics within a Wikipedia article. Second, check out linked pages, Wikipedia or other, for topics surrounding your area of interest. This might open up a research path you hadn't considered before. Third, explore the bibliography section of Wikipedia articles. Open hyperlinks, read documents, and evaluate these sources to see if they lead you to more scholarly, reliable sources you can cite in your paper. Make sure to use both Google and Wikipedia in conjunction with other searching techniques the library offers to give you a full background picture of your topic.
So that's the video. And then let me try to click on one link. Probably this one. Let's try this link. Yeah, so over here you can see a list of common search techniques. Like actually you can search for Twitter, like social media content using the @ symbol and then other things. So I won't go through them go through all of them, but if you are interested, please do make use of those features, like search for cache version of a site could be very useful when you want to monitor the changes of a web source. Okay, now let's go back to the presentation. Another thing particularly I want to highlight, since I'm a librarian, and then I do want to emphasize the use of library resources, but equally I understand many of you are using Google Scholar for discovering like scholarly literature. But sometimes if you use Google Scholar, it can be a little bit tricky to get the right version, which I mean the version that you do have access through the library's paid subscription. So what you can do is you can do some very quick setting in Google Scholar by adding the HKBU Library link to your Google Scholar setting. And then after that, in future, if you search something in Google, it will provide you a quick access to the library's version. So I'm going to do some quick demonstration in case you are not aware of this feature. So I click on Google Scholar, and then it's under the hamburgers icon. So go to settings, and then library links. So currently it's blank. It's just a default WordCat library search. So what I can do is I go to search HKBU, click on search, and then just add it just by checking it, and then click on save. So after I have done this setting, what we can do is that we can search social media fake news, COVID-19. And then one change you can see is that next to, for example, this record, beyond you can see the PDF version from another different source. They have also added the check full text at HKBU Library. This link for you to better discover what we have access to. This might be a good, useful example. So this is the Lancet. And then if you click on it, you can go to the publisher site. But equally, you can also click on check full text at HKBU Library. And then you will see the URL was linked back to the library's one search. And then they will do the search again with our collection, and then redirect you to the Lancet landing page. Yeah, so very convenient, and also help us to monitor like the like students and the faculty members' interest in acquiring e-resources. So this is something that I want to particularly highlight. Okay, so it's very easy to use. Just do the quick setting in Google Scholar, and then you should be able to find it under the settings and then library links. It works particularly well if you're working off campus. So I think this is really the very perfect time for you to do this setting on your laptop. And then something I also particularly enjoy is the shortcuts in Chrome, which I do use. I use mostly Chrome and then Safari on my laptops. So those shortcuts help me to navigate more easily than using the contact board and also the mouse. So particularly what I enjoy is using the Ctrl+Shift+V to copy text without the formatting. So in case you don't know, I highly recommend you to do this if you want to copy and paste contents to a different application or different Google-based application. So this is a really useful feature that I want to highlight. And then speaking of G Suite products, they do have very well designed connectivity, like enabled collaborations. It's cloud-based, so you don't need to click on save all the time. Different access controls, version controls for you to monitor the versions and then the changes. So it's really very helpful, much more easier than what has been there for like Microsoft products like 10 years ago, I guess. So now let's move on to Gmail. So the university email account is hosted by Google's Gmail. So you should be able to tell that they're connected. So what I also want to highlight, remind you again, is to check your email regularly and use your HKBU email for communication as the main tool with your teachers and with different offices in the library, in the university. And also I can particularly share that sometimes at HKBU Library, we do organize the prize draws, like we sometimes give out souvenirs to students as they participate in our event. And then really, I would say like 20% of the students who were concluded as the winner of some prize will never get back to us because they probably don't check their email. And then we have to give out the prize to some people in the waiting list. So it's really harming your benefits if you don't check your HKBU email on a regular basis. So something I want you to particularly remember to do. Okay, now also a couple of highly recommended tricks and tips in Gmail. Snooze messages is really very similar to similar feature as snooze in clock. So sometimes you want to remind yourself of a very important message. You can snooze it for a couple of hours or maybe to the next day. And then it will pop up again to remind you to do some follow-up actions on that particular message. Schedule emails, sometimes I also find it useful because maybe some of you like to work very late in a day, maybe 1:12 in the midnight. So I find it's really not very good if you start to bombing others like through emails in very late of the day. So sometimes what you can do is to schedule the send maybe to tomorrow morning, tomorrow afternoon, so that your readers, maybe they feel more comfortable to read your emails during the work hours. So that's schedule emails. And then there's also the self-destruct emails, like the confidential mode. So you can set the confidentiality of your email to a certain period of time, and then they will, and after that, they will be they will go expire. Like the content won't be able to be read if you set up the confidential mode up. And then some other things probably you have already noticed is the smart compose. Finish up your sentence, those common greetings and then salutations. There is also the undo send email. Useful sometimes if you want to quickly retract your email. And then you can also set the default text style if you are getting bored with the default face type of the text, the default fonts, and then font size in Google. So I will just quickly go to my Gmail and then share those features with you quickly. So if I compose something in my Gmail, so I will just send an email to myself. So the schedule send is under send. So you can, this is a hidden feature, so schedule send. So instead of send it right away, I can schedule it for tomorrow morning. Oh, sorry, I clicked go, so I'll start a new one. So this is schedule send, and also the confidential mode, turning on it like it's the last icon in the this feature panel, so you can set it to be expired within a certain period of time. So this is the self-destruct. Okay, and then what else that I want to highlight? The undo send feature is under settings. So if you go to settings, there are a couple other features that you can do, I can send cancellation period from 10 seconds, the default one, to maybe half a minute. That's much longer. And then other features that you can find over the settings in Gmail. Okay. Okay, so this is Gmail. Now let me move on to file collaborations. I will just really briefly go through those because I think if you are like maybe a third year or fourth year student, you should be able to find it very useful, especially you work as a team with your classmates. So those are the editing, suggestion, and also viewing access modes that you can grant to those collaborators. And then those are the version track features that you can see through those the Google Documents and also Google Spreadsheets. I just want to quickly highlight in Google Sheet, actually, you can protect a range of data by selecting a range and then just protect those ranges that you selected. And also you can copy those range into, for example, Google document, and then make it as a live selection, which means if you update the data in the Google Sheets, the information you see on your Google document will go updated as well. So this is really useful if you are maintaining a certain report where there will be live data that you maintain in a different documents. And that works for Google charts as well. So those charts will, like the pie charts, the proportions will be different if the raw data, like the source data, was updated in a Google spreadsheet. So do feel free to explore those functions. I can't possibly cover everything at all if in a 50-minute session for sharing Google documents. And then this is Office editing on Google Drive. So what it means is if you drag and drop a Word documents in the Google Drive, you can open it and then add it as it is. And then once you finish editing, it will be still saved as a Word document, Microsoft Word document. So that's very helpful. And then, okay. I think you can also get those some supports and then tips from ITO, our IT office, HKBU's IT office as well. Let me try to see someone. Okay, just muted a audience. Okay, and then we can go a bit more advanced. Google Charts is some place that you can get the code and then use those code to edit your sites, like the web page based sites. They have very rich infographic categories and then those examples and then sharing where you can do the customization. So let's go to this web page, for example, and then we can have a look together. So display live data on your site, and then I assume the data should be hosted in a Google document. Okay, so if we scroll down, we can go to the gallery, and then over here you can see those different chart types. For example, if we go to bar charts, and then and then this is the library, like where you can see the code and then copy it and then link it with your own data. So this is really very useful. And then I sometimes for the library statistical report, we will use Google Charts to embed those information as well. So I particularly highlight this feature. Now let's go back to these slides. And then they also have the script editor. So this is similar to charts are linked, but it's more for advanced users. But I think they do have very rich tutorials sort of, and you can learn on the way. There really has been a very increasing debate on the security level of Zoom, which actually we are using at this moment. But I think Zoom is insecure because it's really very easy to use. And if you want to make it secure, you have to do lots of advanced settings to prevent strangers to come into a Zoom session, which makes it more vulnerable. But I remember we are having the full access to G Suite. So actually, everyone at HKBU at least, you can use Google Meet or Google Hangouts as well. So the link is over here. And then for basic conference, like telephone conferencing, online catch up, you can certainly use this one as well. It's quite easy to use. And I think probably many of you have already heard of it, but maybe you haven't tried it yourself. Now let me go to the last point, just to quickly share some creativity tools of Google. So Google has been working, they have very interesting work atmosphere, I guess. They have some pet projects, and then this is the website curates hosting those different projects, either with from the Google employees, or they were working, collaborating with other artists or graphic designers or scholars. So I find it's quite like inspiring to just browse the database, the website, and then see those interesting links. So at this moment, we are quite stressful, I guess. So they have lots of art galleries and virtual global tools that you can browse and interact online using the browser. I do highly recommend you to explore those experiments and then have a look yourself. They have also got a blog, so blog.google, where they highlight different enhancement and also launch of this and that initiatives. They have, I want to also highlight two interesting sites. One is this, the quick draw with Google. So it's like they will ask you to draw a potato, and then they will try to guess what you have drawn. So for example, if I draw
oh, I know, it's potato.
So they know it's potato. And then if I draw a mountain,
I see zigzag.
So this is a machine learning exercise, and actually we are trying to help. We are helping Google to. Actually, we are helping Google to learn.
I see crown. Sorry, I couldn't get it.
They couldn't get it. It's not a mountain, it's a mailbox. So something you can do when you want to take a break from what you have been working on. The other one is the material design. So this is also a very rich library of visual elements, and also how to say that, it's like the prototypes that you can work on if you are working on some front-end design of a application or a package. So so over here, so let me go to this the homepage. So they have some design guidelines. I think they were more tailored for designing applications or web pages. But what we can refer to is like you can work on, yeah. So like for example, this is something that we can immediately use. It's free to use, so you don't need to worry about copyright issues. So those are the many different icons that you certainly can use it in your PowerPoint, your presentations, etc. And then those can be downloaded it's very easily. Okay. So I think that's the end of my session today. So I will shortly think we are doing very good in time. So I will share the presentations link right away into the chat box. How should I do this? Oh, share. Okay. And then I'm going to share this in the chat box. So if you want to refer to it later, you can copy this link for your own reference. And then the last thing I want you to do, in the meanwhile, if you have any burning questions, do let me know.